Yeah, let's begin the chapter standards on auditing. If you look at ICI book, we have totally 1 to 7 chapters, actually 1 to 11 chapters. Chapter number 1 to chapter number 11, they are all dealing with engagement and quality control standards. 8th chapter onwards to 11th chapter of ICI book. If you look at 8th chapter to 11th chapter, they are dealing with 800 series, 2000 series, 3000 series, 4000 series. 8th chapter to 11th chapter, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 chapters, 4 different series. Remaining 7 chapters, they are dealing with, remaining 7 chapters, they are dealing with these 36 standards, which are standards on auditing and quality control. Remaining 7 chapters. Out of which 1 chapter which deals with 12 standards, as per our book, we completed. And there are 2 more chapters, risk assessment and audit strategy, which we gave it as a separate chapter. So out of 7, these 3 you eliminate. There are still 4 more chapters in the ICI book. Out of 1 to 7, audit report you eliminate. Risk assessment strategy you eliminate, because these 3 are 3 separate topics which are given as standards again. Out of remaining 4, some of this is covered. For example, right now what are all we have completed? 600, 610, 620, 700, 701, 705, 706, 710, 720, correct? And even 570 we have completed. 299 also we have completed. These are the standards which we completed. Now, and there are some standards which institute itself does not give. Like what are the standards they didn't give? 200, 210, 230 and 320 also is not there in the ICA book. 320 also not there in the ICA book. 330 also not there in the ICA book. And 450 is also not given. In the ICA book they have not given. Like these are all given in depth. Whatever I've highlighted in red color, no, they are all given in depth in CA Inter. If you want to read these standards, they are asking you straight away read CA Inter book. You're getting it. They have not given any idea about this in the book itself. In the CA final book, you will not find any traces for this. You will find like whereas 300 we have a separate chapter called audit strategy. 315 we have a separate chapter called risk assessment. In that itself 265 is also discussed. In that itself 265, like communicating weaknesses in, communicating significant deficiencies in internal control to those charged with governance, that is discussed. 260, like what are the standards that are exclusively discussed in CA final? I'll highlight. 240 is in-depth discussed in CA final in the standards topic. 250 is in-depth discussion is there. 260 in-depth discussion is there. 220 in-depth discussion is there. 402, 540. That's it. These are only the standards which are in-depthly discussed. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Only 6 standards were given in the CA final, those 4 chapters, which I told, in-depth. Also, they have given briefly as a diagram, a single diagram, simple diagram, 500, 501, 505, 510, 520, 530, 550, 560, 580. All these standards which I highlighted in pink color, they were also there in those 4 chapters, but simply as a diagram. But in exam, they will ask you in-depth questions. It is not like they will ask you from the diagram, and we have solved recently the question bank in our regular class also, where we have shown clearly how in-depth questions can come from these standards, even though it is not covered in depth. Even one more for your information, even 570 also given as a diagram only, but still we discuss little bit better than the diagram, but not as detailed as given in the CA Inter. As detailed as given, even 570 institute is asking you to refer CA Inter book only, because this 570 is covered in this chapter called completion and review. We discussed it as a part of audit report chapter. So we didn't discuss it as a part of completion and review. Are you getting it? So audit report, risk assessment, strategy, only these 3, and we have 220, 240, 250, 260, 540, 402. Only these standards were in depth. And audit report, whatever standards we discussed, that is in depthly discussed. Rest all other standards, they were only given as a brief diagrams. Getting it? But still we will be discussing, except the one which I highlighted in red color with red round, red circle. that I will not at all touch, but everything else I will briefly discuss. Getting it? Whatever I have given in blue, right, that I will discuss little moderately, but remaining whatever highlighted in pink color, I will discuss it briefly, because these are all CA Inter standards. And even in 580, recently in the CA final also, they have asked a question which actually was there in the CA Inter. But of course, in CA final also, these were asked as a part of RTPs and MTPs in the previous years. But never you should never learn the subject from the question bank. What we generally do is we read so many questions so that we can practice so many questions, so many concepts. Never. That's never a right approach. You should always fix the destiny and then design the route. Not going every route and then going to the destiny. Getting the point? So fix the destiny, what exactly you have to learn from the standard and what exactly you have to study, so that any question on the standard comes, you can answer. Not by practicing, uncountable questions. By practicing so many questions, you will never gain conceptual clarity, you will never gain that understanding. If the slight twisting is done in that question, you will do mistake. Clear? Fine. So let's try to begin. Let's begin this standard. Okay, fine. Let me save this file as a separate thing. This is introduction. This is introduction to standards. And of course, by the way, one more thing I forgot. Blue, even SQC, this is also discussed in depth. Total 7 standard, including quality control, we have in-depth discussion which yet to be done. And we have remaining standards which are briefly discussed by the institute. So we'll directly start with 250. We'll directly start with 250.